get into the specifics of these cases in a quick second, but I want to start with a broad question. What does abortion have to do with democracy? Why is an organization and someone, a leader like yourself, getting involved on these reproductive health cases?
Well, look, we know that the vast majority of people in this country support access to reproductive health care. People are different. They all have different views. They may have different religious backgrounds or community backgrounds, but the vast majority of people do not believe that the government should be interfering in healthcare decisions that women have to make about their lives. And so this is a democracy issue because it is something that the vast majority of people believe in. They want to see protections for reproductive health care, and yet there is a movement that is seeking to roll those protections back, as we've seen with Dobbs, of course, being the most prevalent of that example of that movement. In addition, what we know is that there is a direct connection between the treatment of women and girls in a society and the overall strength of a democracy. And so it is not a coincidence that at the same time that we are seeing rise in attacks on voting rights, that we are seeing election denialism, that we are seeing these broader threats to our democracy overall that are being reported every day and are happening in communities every day, a rise in book bans in communities, that we are also seeing extreme attacks on women's healthcare access and rollbacks of the rights for women and girls in this country.
Now let's dive into the Idaho case that the Supreme Court looked at just yesterday. At issue is Idaho's near total abortion ban and a federal law that essentially, in very layman's terms, requires that hospitals treat patients in emergency scenarios, and in a case of a pregnant person in a situation of emergency, that could mean an emergency abortion. What is your impression after hearing those oral arguments yesterday? What is your top line takeaway that we should all know about what happened in court?
I was in the courtroom yesterday, and I can tell it was harrowing listening to the stories of women in 2024 being life flighted, flown out of hospitals where they can't get care, hearing justices debate about how many organs a woman has to lose, or how difficult, how threatening a emergency situation has to be to allow a physician to do their job and to care for women. Those are the kinds of things that we heard yesterday. And so my takeaway is this is incredibly concerning and incredibly serious in terms of what it means for the rights of women, and in terms of what it means for our equal representation. As you just referenced, federal law has for decades protected women's access to go to an emergency room and get emergency care. It protects men's access as well. All people can go to an emergency room and get the care they need if they're in that emergent situation. And the fact that we may be in a situation where the court would contemplate and potentially decide that federal protection does not extend to women who are pregnant who may need a termination is deeply concerning, and it's undemocratic.